Hello everyone. Today I'm going to discuss about creation of self in the brain. How does the brain provide more apparent than real, almost phantom-like self which we believe to be so real? What I would like to now propose is that it is working through a distributed system of neuronal networks which in fact creating the self-like system. So we would like to theorize that it happened due to the creation of new module which are unique to third hub, and language module become the most powerful in creating the extended self system. They evolve as distributed and locally controlled but working in parallel under no apparent central location or command center, but each center has potential to become autonomous agent-like module, which is an emergent quality of complex dynamic system, which we have already explained in our second hub. Example would be interpreter system, which behave as if though it is an autonomous agent. These modules can sustain on its own and has feedback loops as well as strange attractors with emergent phenomena of autonomous agent which are inherent to the complex dynamic system and has the power to trigger synchrony with mind-generated 5 cognitive modules. So what we are liking to discuss today is the socialized behavior is the supreme achievement of Cortex, which was quoted famously by Gordon Allport in 1924. According to Golden, when is the last moment in time when you were not thinking about yourself or social? Um, I would like to take this opportunity again to explain to you that socialized behavior emerge from this third self-creative system, which I'm going to further elucidate again with my next slide. We are moving from the cognitive to the social neuroscience now to explain how cognitive neuroscience explaining the cognitive self emerge out of third hub. We are also going to discuss regarding autism and disruptive survival skills when this system is not properly formed, especially in patients with autism that I have depicted on this picture. Um, as unique to human, the laughter which is coming up um, is very unique to third hub, and it is universal in every human and intensely contagious and very instinctive, and it evolved from the apes play invitation for vocalization, which is the second hub. Emergence of language out of necessity, which I'd like to discuss now in further detail. Um, Especially, I would like to mention that due to increasing number of tribal group growth and due to many social dynamics for social competition with social conflicts now create an enormous tension among the tribal members due to difficulty in understanding each other, with drive the dynamic system to a bifurcation due to the internal driven inner force to express information has a premature language component which trigger the genetic mutation for FOXP2 gene, which I believe is the most powerful gene change which created the language centers as well as the genetic mutation facilitating for creation of the uniquely human voice box generation. These two changes on the gene mutation, especially the FOXP2 gene for the development of broadcast as well as Wernicke's system, and still not identified another gene mutation which created uniquely human uh, larynx or the voice box, also was secondary to gene mutation. In We like to theorize that under extreme duress life-threatening conditions, due to repeated global environmental changes with drought, famine, flooding, may have facilitated um, huge punctuated equilibrium in evolution in multiple times. That is why we can see very clearly in the FOXP2 human gene, there are about 28 mutations which are unexplicable in the scale of human evolution, which has happened very suddenly. In our theory, we believe that due to this extreme life-threatening situation, multiple gene mutation may have taken place as a punctuated equilibrium scenario. And this may have created the massive development of prefrontal cortex, as well as Broca's area for language and speech, as well as massive enlargement to the prefrontal cortex and massive outgrowth of a superior parietal lobule, which is 6 times larger in human than chimpanzee, as well as the massive outgrowth of inferior parietal lobule, which split into two, creating angular gyrus and supramarginal gyrus, which are then facilitated further creation of extended self creative module as well as working memory module at the parietal lobe. We would also like to discuss now about the third hub, self-referential quality of the third hub language symbols may have facilitated the growth and development of the self, especially the self-referential words such as I, me, myself, which are really facilitated the third hub social co-self to become a permanent module. By adding these words, it got rewired with that language tag to create more social, more stable co-self module, which is unique to human. I would like to present this picture now. The cell division cycle mutation that you would see um, the gene mutation may have created massive prefrontal cortex of the third dynamic hub, and also cell division cycle gene mutation with final result of 100 billion neuron instead of few billion, which we can see in monkeys and other lower primates. This exponential number created a huge change to the massive prefrontal cortex creation, which is unique to human, and many other third hub creative modules out of associative cortex creation. The language as a third hub evolved very recently when the man began to speak. How did the brain create third hub for language? If our genetically we are different with monkey or chimps only 1 to 2%, we believe answer lies in the 2% of the gene and its capacity to create this massive punctuated equilibrium type evolution which created the brain change and to create a third hub with mind as well as extended self creation. Language, we claim, was the major determinant factor which facilitated third hub wiring. I think that the genetic mutation especially took place at the human voice box. Especially if you look at the picture, the larynx of humans are very unique when compared to other animals, and which is much larger, and it provided the special space for the voice box to be created. This gave rise to the better advantage for production of the language. We believe that this genetic mutation is different to the FOXP2 gene. If you look carefully here, the gesture as well as vocal signal to communicate with human, which is common among chimpanzee and human, the data suggests that the chimpanzee intentionally produces manual gestures as well as vocal signals to communicate with human suggestions that the precursor to human language are present at both the chimpanzee as well as human and to create behavior and neuroanatomical level. We believe that these primitive modules must have been there even in the second hub at chimpanzee level, where they can do some vocal imitations, but it especially evolved into the third hub during this massive genetic mutation. So ape who spoke primitive clicking language, we believe, emerged in South Africa, where this competition was enormous for survival, as I have indicated in the previous slides. We believe, according to the Y chromosome discovery, that the oldest ancient tribes that we trace back to South India through the Y chromosome, scientists have discovered the oldest people to be the Asan Bushmen who are currently living, and they speak a language which is very peculiar. They speak in a language of clicking sound, such as clock, clock, click, click, like sound to imitate the language. And they have very advanced language creation now, but still this clicking sound is persisted in this ancient group of Asan Bushmen in South Africa. It may have emerged out of competitive group living for survival. It was the most influential and essential bioanthropocene tool which the brain created to communicate, which is only second to the bipedalism driven bioanthropocene tool of hand use. Hand use was came first with the bipedalism. That's why even chimps can make primitive tools. But when you compare to human tool creation through human hand bioanthropocene, which is they are far more primitive. According to Jane Goodall discoveries, even chimps can make tools, which more than 20, 30 tools that she has discovered. But when it emerged as a sound, a local voice noise to communicate with the other tribal group, this then began to produce this clicking sound language that we believe, which is still persisting, is most ancient Asan Bushmen who carry the most ancient chromosome up to now, which is all the way traced back to South Africa. I believe that first hominids may have spoken few words for naming objects, with some sign language concomitantly used with the vocal sounds, gradually expanded into more words by exchanging among groups. I believe the verbs and the nouns and proverbs of grammar came later, and the syntax may got added much later. I also like to mention the further evolution onto the self-creation is embedded in the language words, especially the when we refer with some words about space dimension, we imitate our body with embodiment to express our space. When we especially speak about language words like far, near, above, below, we always use the body as a referential point. Therefore, self-wiring get enhanced when we use these words, which are equally powerful, like the word I, me, you, and other. So, near, far, or horizon, north, south, left to me, right to me, word has a characteristic ability of enhancing the self system and growth of core self, which I would further elucidate during my late part of the lecture. Um, Also, three dimension by words also is a characteristic feature of language, and it presenting in the language words of dimension of depth dimension, up, below, and far near are also dimensions spoken words which are done while using the body as the measuring device and embodied perception. More importantly, the language also created memes, which I would like to discuss now. Language and memes, memes, which is the word coined by Dr. Dawkins and further enhanced by Dr. Daniel Dennett. It has all the characteristic of Darwinian evolution as well as Lamarckian evolution. It has a natural selection power. The word, I mean, the meme word has a natural selection power, and only the fittest word gets survived. Therefore, most of the time languages change over the time. What is fitting is surviving, what is unfitting is get destroyed or get out of the language. It has a survival power to survive in the whole entire tribal community, also into the universe. If you take words such as Buddha, what Buddha has spoken, the famous word Buddhang or Buddho has survived 2,500 years. While unfitting ideas die away, what is persisting, what is fittest will survive in the language. In the same way, word can disseminate like wildfire. One idea can go viral, which is now we can see in commonly in internet and Facebook. Word created secondary Darwinian evolution, which is also acknowledged by the scientific community now with participation of nature's genes. Can without participation of any nature's gene, it work like an existing gene to provide a persistent power of Darwinian evolution, as I described above. Words are solidified in brain to another brain vertically. It can sustain, as I mentioned, for thousands and thousands of years through cultural evolution. Solidified thoughts can get copied with variation, since the words, when they interpreted, get variated. And second order Darwinian replicator, which is the meme, get then created in the social mind for evolution to occur. These memes become the let out loose Pandora box, which now has spread all over the world.
We have no concept of the idea of an algorithm, but that's what he described in that book, and this is what we will know as the evolutionary algorithm. The principle is you just need those three things: variation, selection, and heredity. And as Van Dijk puts it, if you have those, then you must get evolution. A design of chaos without the aid of minds. There's one word I love on that side. What do you think my favourite word is? Yes, no. What? No, no. No, not without. Generally, like, must. Must. This is what makes it so.
We also like to mention about the third hub uh, through using mirror neuron and the language, it created human artifacts or Anthropocene in the similar manner I would like to discuss now, especially when human tool usage came. Once the solidified self through the language began to rewire and became more powerful imitators of tool creation, unlike the second hub, chimps and others tool creation. We human can create enormously massive number of tools, and which we believe came as Anthropocene or human artifacts, which is the mirror neuron imitation creative power, which we will explain in further detail in another lecture. In the similar manner, rock mural painting also came in the same imitative power of the third hub, especially unique to human body painting, tattooing, wearing feathers on the head, um, necklaces, artificial ornaments, beads, seashells related special ornaments creation are unique to human. And we believe that came through the third hub mirror neuron, which is unique to human. And because of we have enormously high power of imitation and copying of what others do. If a one single person in the group copies something, they could imitate and copy much better than a baboon or a chimp. Therefore, we believe humans, first human may have learned to tame the light, and first person may have given that fire taming power to utilize later to our advantage to cook food and boil food, which provided a massive energy release, which became the second additional energy factor to give enormous brain growth, which is unique to human. We believe that the massive energy that the brain is using, uh, current estimate is about 20% of total energy, is became capable because we learned to release this massive energy when we became meat eaters, and also when, especially when we start boiling food. Very good example of mirror neuron imitation related evolution is a polar bear example where a mother or a father who learned to skin a polar bear and wear it as a coat now can be learned by the whole group, the children, as well as it can go to the whole tribe. Everyone can now control their weather, control their temperature, and maintain the normal temperature, even in most understandable areas of cold temperature, which help us move out of the equator to conquer the whole world, even to go to Iceland. Similar change, similar movement may have facilitated change of the skin pigment melanin for them, their skin to be fairer once they started moving out of the equator. When compared to other hominids, we are the best builders of the shelter. We are much better than others. Therefore, we could outlive others. And we believe this talent is the major talent as to why the we survived and the other hominids, including Neanderthal, succumbed and got extinct about 40,000 years ago. We were the most powerful Anthropocene producers. And I believe the mega Anthropocene discovery, the steam engine discovery, was an excellent example of human Anthropocene, which triggered the Industrial Revolution all the way to provide enormous energy for us to cultivate, um, to, coal mining, and further to transportation, railway transportation, and all that took place due to accidental discovery of this mega Anthropocene. Subsequently, uh, even though this is a late evolution of steam engine, early evolution may have facilitated same discoveries for them to create pyramids and other massive monumental level Anthropocenes of human artifact creation, which led to the cultural civilization of those Mayans and the also Indian civilization of Indus civilization, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa civilization, as well as Egyptian pyramids and other creations as well. Currently, we have now coming out of the technology. Now we are extremely powerful in creating atomic level weapon creations is due to the same human Anthropocene creative power. We believe that the massive overgrowth of the superior parietal lobule in order to create the body image facilitated the growth of the extended self. This superior parietal lobule growth is only unique to human, and superior and inferior parietal lobule undergo massive overgrowth, and especially the inferior parietal lobule split again into supramarginal gyrus and angular gyrus. This special arrangement provides the conscious extended self to create as if body neural correlate of consciousness, or creating a imitable self system at the superior parietal lobule. For it to create this way, somatosensory cortex as well as proprioceptive cortex S1, S2 have contributed from the second hub level. They were exapted to create this 3D dimensional imitative body self. We would like to show this special human superior parietal lobule again in this picture. The inferior parietal lobule I like to present again. If you can see here, the inferior parietal lobule is depicted here, which is split into Wernicke's area or angular gyrus, and this is the supramarginal gyrus, which is communicating. The angular gyrus is the Wernicke's area communicating with the Broca's area. Inferior parietal lobule get further subdivided into supramarginal and angular gyrus, which function as a contributor language as depicted above, and also self-generative module. Again, if you see the inferior parietal lobule, we can see part of it as a supramarginal gyrus here, and the angular gyrus here, and superior parietal lobule existing here on the top. Unique to human, very large inferior parietal lobule, which is this one in purple, and the right here, this location, the TPJ, the anchoring, self-anchoring region, become the passive me self, which we are going to explain to you with the theory of mind or TOM in the right hemisphere, and the dominant I self, the interpreter self, is become the left hemisphere module, which we will also describe to you earlier. In our self-creation, we broadly divide self system into me self or passive system, and a I self or a dominant interpreter self. Dominant interpreter self reside in the left hemisphere, me self reside in the right hemisphere. As I described earlier, as if body or the self mind's eye body, or the self has a mind's eye, that mind's eye carry this body. And that body is a immutable body, unique to third hub, which is exapted, as I mentioned, from the second hub, which is created through thought system of the third hub wiring. This body is that we are really conscious of and perceive as a real body by self's mind eye, which is a third hub system which is existing independently from the second hub, S1, S2 body. If we damage to this body, we will lose the reality of body experience, as well as we will lose the three-dimensional space reality if we damage this region, especially the right superior parietal lobule and inferior parietal lobule region. It is also defined where the body margin ends and where the space begins. So if you close your eyes and try to imagine where your body is, we can demarcate our body even without eyes and closing eyes, and we can find exactly where the body margin ends and where the space begin. And during meditation, one can shut down the as if body image due to lack of continuous stimulation coming in, and that's why they would lose the 3D space at that time, uh, which is a special quality of meditation. In an extreme hygienic stage, people can lose their own body, and disappearance of self is noted, which they call vinyanantayatana, akasanyayatana, and nevasanyana. And as if feeling of the body, the mind's eye feeling body, as well as real body feeling, get projected to this area to provide the feeling sensation of the body. So in the third hub level, our feeling is again become the as if feeling by passing the body, which I will explain later. And that becomes the feeling for this self thought system that I am describing in the third hub. Similarly, in the right brain, as if body imitation with outside social member, can real body become go into action in imitation, is a very unique characteristic feature of human third hub. We hypothesize that the right brain as if body, as well as imitated outside during the social encounter through the motor mirror neuron in the mind's eye, as if body imitated uh, through that mind eye, and also in our own real body action, as well as when the baby start to turn, this internal body will turn. What I'm suggesting is that this imitable body, which is created as a third hub system, follow the same movement of the outside body. When I lift my hand, this inner body also lift the hand. And when the baby turn, first time when the baby turn around 3 to 6 months time, the inner body also must turn. That's what I mean by this. So when the phantom limb patients, especially the epitome of phantom limb syndrome of Lord Nelson, who lost his right arm during battle, who used to salute in the midair from his phantom right hand, which is amputated due to the battle injury. He would claim that he can continue to salute his soldiers even though arm was not there. So what we are suggesting is that in his case, this third hub imitable body can be doing the action, but there is no nullification to nullify that and to report to the social self, since the Amputated arm is a non-existing arm which would not send any signal to nullify to say that there is no functioning arm, which we will explain again later. This is the reason we strongly believe hysteric patients claim when they have hysteric paralysis. It is not that they have paralysis to the real arm, they have the paralysis to this internally mobilized arm.